Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to MX Bikes, where we're going to do another edition of Track Walk today in MX Bikes and play the Farm 14 MX by Fat Muppet 10. Yes, that's right, back-to-back Fat Muppet tracks. But I've downloaded a couple skins here to make myself look like I'm Kevin Windham riding his own property, the Farm 14 MX track in Centreville, Mississippi. And I'm going to probably overlay a sweet graphic right now to show you guys where this track is in the United States. It's actually like right across the street from where Windham lives and has lived for a good long while now. I think he's from a certain part of Louisiana. I can't remember the name of the town, actually. Baton Rouge, maybe? But then he moved over to Centreville for most of his career, where his house is. There's a supercross track still on the property. And then this is like right across the street from his house, like I mentioned. And this is just kind of like a small local racetrack. And you've probably seen this track in a couple videos before. Windham's definitely done some stuff on it. I think Brett Q went down there and had a pretty popular video at one point. But it's also a track that hosts a Loretta Lynn's area qualifier as well. So it hosts some races every year. I don't know how many total races it does hold, but obviously I don't think it runs like full year round, as you can probably see from the Google Earth map. The track gets pretty worn down at certain occasions, and I'm not sure the full schedule of it, but it does seem like it doesn't run fully operational all year round. It just has some races here and there, and sometimes that Windham and crew seem to fix it up. But regardless of which, this is awesome. This is really cool that Fat Muppet has made this track here, and I had another track in mind that I was going to do today for Track Walk, and then I saw that this one was released, and I had to take a look at it. I'm a big Kevin Windham fan. I was a huge Kevin Windham fan when I was younger, and I still am as well, but I became a fan of other riders as I kind of grew up and stuff like that. But Windham was the guy that when I was just getting into Supercross was starting to take the fight to Jeremy McGrath and try to knock him off the pedestal a little bit. Obviously Jeff Emig had already knocked McGrath off once, but when I first my first Supercross I went to in 1998, Windham was more or less like a wild card in the 250 class by that point, because he'd already won, I think, back-to-back 125 regional Supercross titles, and then moved up to the 250 class. And he's on a factory Yamaha. I just loved everything about him. He went to Honda the next year after that, and he was winning races and making McGrath work for it in the title fight both of those years. And then 2000 and 2001 hit for Kevin, and he just got hurt a bunch. Nearly retired, or actually did retire in 2002, I think it was, after he had a severe broken femur or something like that. Eventually took enough time off that he was like, okay, I still want to give this career a go. Came back, obviously, as pretty much everybody knows Windham as, I feel like, with the Geico Honda effort in 2004. And, Ricky had a perfect season that year, but Windham was the guy that was challenging Ricky, it seemed like, every week in outdoors in his return year. And then, Kevin had another decade of racing after that. He won 18 Supercross races. He never did quite win that Supercross title, but he was always a guy that just, competed, was very close, challenged outdoors, won a couple of Motocross of Nations, or maybe I think it was just one Motocross of Nations in 2005 that he was a part of the winning team. But his style was unmatched. People still talk about him today as maybe the sickest style that ever raced in Supercross. He was just buttery, silky smooth. He had such a unique flow on the bike. He threw just really, really cool, epic whips. And, his personality, he just had that, kind of real nice southern vibe about him. Always seemed like he just had such a big heart, big smile on his face to go race his dirt bike every weekend. And then he retired in 2013. I was actually there the day that he retired, working for Verb Moto, and kind of had to do some real quick on my feet reporting and try to get some leads on it, because he announced his retirement during basically practice of the Anaheim 2 Supercross in 2013. And I remember like running down to the Geico truck that day and seeing what was going on there and asking a couple people what was going on, and then running back up. And then in opening ceremonies that night, he basically officially announced he'd be retiring. And then he became the transfer god, and then was doing epic transfers all season long there. And I mean, there's just so many different cool things that Kevin Windham has done throughout his life, racing for Puerto Rico at Redbud in 2018. Just a ton of things, and Windham is, I think, motocross royalty, at least in my opinion. I think he's, should be up there, at least talked about as, one of the greatest American motocross athletes of all time, even though he didn't get the championships or as many wins as maybe he could have due to injuries and stuff like that. His legacy will be long remembered, I feel like, from my generation. And this Farm 14 track is awesome to me because of the Windham legacy, me being a fan of him as I was younger, and watching his whole career. And now he has this track, and he's able to share, his facility with the general public and host these races and still be actively involved in the motocross community. And I think this track is awesome. Fat Muppet did a great job building the track, but I think the track itself in real life is also really cool. It's not like a huge, long national level track or anything like that, but it's definitely got that kind of local cross feel to it. Tables, small doubles, it's got some rollers here and there. Good flow to it for sure. And definitely a track that like I would definitely love to visit someday. I don't know if I would be that good at riding it, personally speaking, in real life, but man, just to be able to go down to Kevin's house there and stuff like that and just see this property would be absolutely insane. So Fat Muppet, thank you so much for kind of reinvigorating the child in me, I guess, a little bit today with this track and reminding me of how awesome Kevin Windham is, and the fact that he has this track. And I don't think I've ever seen it recreated before. I don't remember it ever being made in sim. I could be dead wrong. I don't think it was made in Reflex. I don't think it was made in any other games. So MX Bikes gets basically a first love track here, which is kind of cool. And I think this is really well put together. The track has amazing flow. It definitely doesn't take too long to learn, because while you're putting like 130s down, the track does kind of feel short. Like it feels like there's more or less like 5-6 straightaways that you kind of have to learn and learn the speeds. This section right here is awesome. This double down, or this table down into this little canyon and come up the other side and just lay a filthy whip off this jump. I'm always bad at bringing these back, but really, really nice track. Really, really well done in my opinion. The environment looks great. I feel like it totally matches the vibes that I got when I drove through Mississippi and Alabama a couple years back, with the trees just all around. The soil looks to be mostly correct. And very nicely done here by Fat Muppet, and a really cool kind of throwback to talk about Windham. I don't remember everybody's skins and all that stuff that I downloaded. I just wanted to run some 2001 No Fear Electron gear, which was stuff that Windham obviously ran when he was on factory Honda back then, and then found this 2021 Honda Geico skin that somebody had made, and downloaded the RI. But I'll be sure to link all this stuff in the description below so you guys can download it as well and get the true Kevin Windham experience to that level. It's a sweet setup, goes well with this track, I think, personally. And man, I'm just crashing all over the place here, getting swap diddlied. Definitely not riding as smooth and silky as the man Kevin Windham was able to do in his career. I'm actually gonna pose a question to you guys watching this video, because I do feel like I get a demographic of fans that watch my content that's roughly around the same age as me mostly, but we do also have younger fans that tune in and watch. And so for those of you that maybe didn't really get to see much of Kevin Windham's career, what do you know him as? Maybe if you're in your teens or something like that. Windham retired 8 years ago now, so you would have been fairly young when Windham was still racing and or was on the verge of retirement, I feel. So what do you remember about him? What memories do you have of him? What's a fond memory you have of him? And the same question to anybody that's similar to my age. I'm 28, but someone that's in their 20s, someone that might be in their 30s. What was a favorite memory for you of Kevin Windham? Gosh, I have so many. Maybe my favorite memory that I have of Kevin Windham was 2002 Anaheim 2, I believe it was, and I was sitting 7 rows up on the first base side of Angel Stadium, and Travis Pastrana and Kevin Windham got their whole shot, 1-2, whatever you want to call it, in the heat race, and they're both on Sobi Suzuki at the time, and they just went to basically play riding. They got a nice little gap established out front, and there was a triple on this first base side that we were sitting, and every lap they went over it, they were like either going over it side by side or in a line, and they're throwing knack-knacks, and Windham was always classic with the heel clicker, and they're pointing at each other one lap, and then they throw a whip the next lap and stuff like that. And it was just, I was a big Travis fan, I was a big Windham fan. Obviously, having them out front, I was stoked at the time. I think I would have been 9, I guess, at that point. And gosh, it was such a treat to see those two ride side by side, having fun, play riding, but also just going ridiculously fast in a supercross heat race, and went 1-2. And I think that's maybe my favorite in-person Windham moment that I can think of. Gosh, there's so many good races that he had. Obviously, the Daytona 08 win was crazy when Chad DNF'd at that point. Another in-person moment that I can think of is being there for the Perfect Storm race, which was Carmichael, Reed, and Stewart racing each other for the first time in 2005 at Anaheim 1. Turned out to be an absolute quagmire of a mutter. I was in the stands for that one as well. Windham, out of nowhere, gets the win after Ricky Carmichael crashes, goes backwards on the track, and then crashes again, and Windham, in all the chaos, passes him after he had crashed early in the race and goes on to win the main event. But nobody would, barely anybody seemed to know what was going on because it was so crazy to keep track of that race. But yeah, Kevin Windham, winner of the Perfect Storm main event, the first time Ricky, Chad, and James ever raced each other. Kevin Windham came out on top. Fun factoid of the day. But there's so many good memories of Windham. So that's why I'm posing it to you guys. What's your guys' favorite memories of Kevin Windham while we play his track here and talk a little bit about him today? But that's going to be all for myself here in the video. A little track walk action in MX bikes on the Farm 14 MX track. Download it in the description below. Download all the gear and stuff like that as mentioned as well. I'll include the links down there for you guys to check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And yeah. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.